came so far from dreams. The path was hard for me. They thought we fall, you see. Well, look at us now, look at us now. We make it hot when we on the scene, yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team, yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around, you know that I roll with some kings. We sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we. Tell me who better than we. We soaring to places you never could reach. When we walk in that spot, don't hear none of you speak. Shh, do you want peace or the peace? A king about to put you to sleep. Listen, my team is elite. You not even qualified to compete. He's starving, he barely can eat. I guess that's why he always itching for beef. So I put him on ice and I told him to chill. Close your mouth if you can't pay for the meal. Making statements that you know you don't mean. Nice guy trying to act like he mean. Keep it a buck, keep it a bean. Attitudes will put you dudes in the beam. Isekai, he don't live in reality. Shake back off, come on fatality. Yeah, how you gon' hate when you mirror us? He think he a star, he ain't serious. X him out, we not on the same frequency. If you broke, you ain't hearing us. Work the screw, anime, that's how I feel, period. We winning, that's making them furious. We make it high when we on the scene, yeah, that's 1,000 degrees. I got a grind for me and my team, yeah, you know we gon' eat. You see the crowds when we come around, you know that I roll with some kings. You sit it down, I don't hear a sound, but I ask you who better than we.
Yo, what it do, guys? It is your boy, Leon Mookie here, back for you with a new what if for you guys. And this is a what if I've kind of been thinking about for a while now, but never had any way to do it properly, given all of the possibilities, the customizability, and how crazy it is as a concept. Originally, it was an idea I had for that of Izuku, but I decided, nah. I think somebody else to be better with it, to be honest. And that is my boy for today. This is what if Asta was the Warrior of Light from Final Fantasy XIV. Yep, you heard me right. Asta would be the Warrior of Light. Honestly, I was always planning on wanting to do that of a Final Fantasy job system what if on the channel for a while now. RPG class Deku, to be honest, given that I was taken into a way that I did not like. And I decided to just follow a different path. And I didn't want to do another Deku around it, so Asta was a close second. Will is I have something planned for Will in the future, just not now. And like I said, this Asta will have the powers from the Warrior of Light for Final Fantasy XIV, mainly because, Warrior of Light Final Fantasy XIV is a lot more interesting than that of the past Warriors of Light in the Final Fantasy series. And I mean, there is the Warrior of Light from Final Fantasy Dissidia series, given that he is one of the best protagonists because he always stands on business more than any other protagonist does. But again, that's just me. But I'm choosing this Warrior of Light because I want to give more diversity and add more of the lore of Final Fantasy XIV into the world of Black Clover. And I hope you guys look forward to it. So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? Currently, in that of an endless blue ocean, or rather, a realm completely composed of light, as a lone entity basically continues to fall from this endless blue. Looking at his figure, he has that of short, spiky, grayish green hair, wearing that of a headband, while also wearing that of a short sleeve coat jacket with that of white sleeve shirt, black shorts, and that of black boots. As he continues to fall, that's when he begins to hear words from that of a beautiful and elegant voice, as this voice says, hear, feel, think. As soon as he hears those words, that's when his eyes finally open. Seeing at his eyes are that of a lime green. Before coming to consciousness, he soon stands up, even though there's no platform. However, what he notices in front of him is that of a large blue crystal. However, if you look closer, you could see somebody inside of the crystal, as you can't really tell about their features, but you could tell about that of their appearance and body type alone, that they are a woman, as the young man couldn't help but be completely and utterly shocked. However, he can't say or do anything as within a voice saying, "So, you'll be the one to succeed me." As his eyes widening in shock, before looking around, before noticing a person just wearing that of casual clothes, wearing that of a custom-made, but also quite regal white jacket, a black t-shirt with that of long white pants, and that of armored enforced boots. Within getting a better look at him is the man having that of a 5 o'clock shadow, and also that of short brunette hair with a few of his bangs almost covering his eyes. As the boy wants to say anything, however, the man basically raises his hand saying, "Everything will be told in due time. But for now, as my successor, as for my new self, rest and grow stronger. The time is near for the warrior of light to rise again." As the young man has tons of questions, however, as soon as he tries, that's when soon he wakes up. That's when the young man getting out of that of a bed, within scratching his head, saying, "That dream again. I keep having the same dream over and over again. Is there something wrong with me?" As this young man who just woke up with that of weird dreams is Asta, an orphan boy, orphanage church in that of the forgotten realm of the Clover Kingdom in a village called Hage Village, on the outskirts in between that of the Spade Kingdom and the Heart Kingdom. As for Asta, basically just your everyday 15-year-old boy. Even though he may not have parents, he still has a pretty good life that he wouldn't change, except for one thing, which he's about to do right now, right after getting on his clothes, before then heading out, and before seeing that of a young woman wearing that of a nun attire, as she has that of quite a beautiful face with that of her baby blue eyes and quite kind and caring look to her, within noticing Asta saying, "Oh, Asta." Before then, the young man taking a deep breath before going to her, going on one knee, before then offering a flower saying, "Sister Lily, will you please marry me?" As this is something that Asta does on a daily. One of the mainly things that he does on a daily. Tries to propose to that of one of the sisters of the orphanage church, Sister Lily, due to him always been in love with her ever since she first came to that of the Hage, and fell for her at love at first sight. However, it always ends the same way, with her smiling, her trying to turn him down, however, him being pushy, before then bringing out that of her Grimoire, basically a magic tool that amplifies that of her magic, before then basically creating a water fist and slamming it over Asta's head, causing him to basically create a crater in the ground with his head in the ground as well. However, it isn't just basically always, just the two of them, as many of the kids, and even that of the father of the church itself, Father Orphe, also basically are literally unwanted audiences. But how can they not when they see this train wreck always happen day by day? However, even so, with all this always happening, Asta never gives up. But then somebody else spoking up saying, "You never change, don't you, Asta? No matter how many times that she shoots you down." Within noticing that of a tall and slim young man with that of a pretty handsome face, with that of black hair and amber eyes, wearing a long sleeve black shirt, white pants, and also that of brown boots, as over his neck being that of a, seems like a pendant with a crest inside of it, as he has that of a deadpan and somewhat not caring look to him. Within, Asta couldn't help but shout out saying, "Hey, shut it, Yuno. I know one day Sister Lily will always would accept me, right, Sister Lily?" But then she basically not even looking at that of Asta, looking at that of Yuno, saying, "Oh, Yuno, are you about to finish up the laundry for me?" Saying, "Of course." Within, many of the orphan kids basically rush towards Yuno and cheering for him as he begins to use that of his magic, which is wind creation magic. As he gathers up all of the laundry within, bringing them over into that of a big spear, as the wind begins to channel all around them and as it begins drying each and all of the clothes. with making Asta feeling quite jealous. Within, Father Orphle couldn't help but see that of Asta's, jealous and annoyed look on his face. He couldn't help but laugh as the elderly man saying, Now, Asta, jealousy doesn't suit you, young man," saying, Yeah, whatever. But still, within, having that annoyed look, as he couldn't help but basically walk off, before then saying, going off to work out, saying, "Yeah, besides failing to get that of Sister Lily once again, and showing off once more, I can't hold anything back. I can't be behind that guy after all." But then him walking off into that of the woods, with Orphle couldn't help but smile, saying, "Never change, Asta, never change." As Father Orphle remembers back then, when out of both Yuno and Asta came to that of the orphanage at the exact same time, when they were just babies. Both of them in a crib, with Yuno being a lot more quiet and not as rambunctious as that of Asta, who basically always twist and turn in his sleep while basically kicking around all the time. However, it wasn't just that of, Yuno and Asta, but besides that of Yuno's pendant, for Asta, there was something in his hands too, as that of a baby, of a rainbow crystal stone. And then, Father Orphle was about to basically give a better look at it. However, Asta's tiny little hands surprisingly have that of a strong grip on it. Like no matter what he does, he can't even pick it. But then, sighing, saying, "Well, it is his. It only makes sense." Within, however, if Father Orphle had better, senses of magic, he could basically sense a huge amount of magic coming from that crystal. As then soon, without warning, it begins to shatter and crack. Before then, the shards begin to absorb into that of Asta. As for a split second, with his eyes open, his eyes aren't that of the lime green, but that of multiple colors, like that of a rainbow, before closing once again. Back into that of the present, Asta heads into that of the forest, where he basically does an unnatural training regimen, to be honest, doing constant sit-ups, push-ups, crunches, running around the woods constantly, and even punching trees too, as he's been doing this ever since he was at least that of 10 years old, which basically caused a problem. It gave him that of a quite muscular and well-built physique for somebody of his age, but it also basically stunted his growth as well. While basically finishing up a routine, he couldn't help but basically sigh before then saying, "I've never had magic ever since I was a kid. I can never feel or do anything. I can't generate wind like I can't create fire like that of Nash. I can't conjure water like that of Sister Lily. I can't do anything. But yet, those dreams, those words, those feelings, those thoughts," as he remembers everything about those dreams that he's had ever since he was just a kid. Most of the time, he could feel them just occasionally. But nowadays, ever since he became 15 years old, he's had the same dream over and over and over again, no matter what. And even though it's the same dream, he hasn't felt fatigue or exhausted or tired at all. All he just feels is confused. Not to mention, he could feel his personality change a little bit. Originally, when he was a kid, he always constantly yells, aggressive, and basically always way too hyperactive for his own good. As time goes on, he hasn't felt like that in years. He feels more calm, rational, and more reasonable, to be honest. However, he always still wants to ask out Sister Lily, though, no matter what. To him, she is truly the woman he loves the most. No basically overcoming that. But even so, but then, looking at that of the sun setting, couldn't help but basically cross his arms, within thinking, tomorrow's the day I try to get my own grimoire. The day where I basically start my journey to become the Wizard King. I know it. I'm for sure. With that, Asta soon grabs that of his, t-shirt and jacket, and heads back to the orphanage. While heading there and passing that of the chapel, he begins hearing a conversation between that of Sister Lily and Yuno, but then deciding not to eavesdrop at least a little bit, before then saying, "You really sure that Asta is even capable of getting a grimoire? Why do you keep on supporting him, Yuno?" With then hearing this from Sister Lily, saying, "Sister Lily," before then, saying, "Asta's so much more than everyone gives him credit for. His lack of magic is what drives him. It's what basically pushes him forward. It's the one thing I'm truly jealous of, to be honest. If I was in his shoes, I would basically have given up right then and there. But instead, he doesn't. He keeps pushing forward. And now if you've noticed, he's become a lot more mature, a lot more, reasonable, to be honest, outside of always asking you to marry him." With then Cecily saying, "Ain't that the truth?" Before then, she asking, "Why do you have so much faith in him?" With then saying, "It's obvious. He's my rival, and I plan on surpassing him when I become the Wizard King. And knowing my rival, nothing, and I mean nothing, is going to hold him back. I swear it." But then, after hearing that, Asta couldn't help but basically walk away before smiling and then also tearing up himself, saying, "Thanks, and I won't let you beat me either. I'm not holding anything back. I promise. I'm not going to let your expectations of me go down so easily." With that reassurance, both foster brothers and rivals aren't going to go down so easily, no matter what. The very next day, in the next town over, lies that of a massive tower in the distance, where those of many people all across that of the Forsaken Realm and even out of the Common Realm head to. This is known as a Grimoire Tower, where it has that of multiple books known as the Grimoires, the very thing that Sister Lily had. With this, it will be able to amplify and basically can make controlling a person's magic even more easier and accessible as well. Not to mention, it's one of the things that would be necessary when becoming a Magic Knight. A Magic Knight being that of the Clover Kingdom's military and public safety as well. Not to mention, you need to be a Magic Knight to qualify to be that of the Wizard King by ranking up, becoming a Magic Knight captain before being chosen to be the Wizard King itself. Originally, Asta wouldn't really care about stuff like this. However, he began to ask around and even tried and find books about stuff like this, so he understands on what the hell he's getting himself into after all. Not wanting to go into this blind. Arriving at the Grimoire Tower, he soon notices that of the massive brick-shaped tower. However, there's a part of him that could sense something glowing in the top of the tower. But he just doesn't know what it is. It just feels ominous. With looking at Asta as he looks at the top of the tower, saying, "You okay, Asta?" Saying, "Huh? Oh, yeah, I'm good. Let's go inside." As Asta soon walks in, within, couldn't help but feel a little bit worried for him, but decided to put it to the side, at least for now. Within, as seeing that of tons of people and crowd basically in the center, with those who are just here to basically witness, as that of an elderly man wearing that of black robes, a large wizard's hat, and a bushy long beard, saying, "Thank you all for coming far and wide. Today, many of you have reached that of the age of 15, while some of you who missed the last Grimoire Ceremony have a chance to gain that of your grimoire. A grimoire is a great responsibility and a great tool for you in your futures. Do not misuse them, do not abuse them, and most importantly, be responsible as well." Within, and Asta ready for what's to come. Within, soon, The elderly man saying, let the grimoires fly to that of their proper wielders. As he soon slams that of a staff onto the ground, within each of the books from that of the shelves, as the grimoires head straight for that of their wielders, as they all have that of different colors ranging from red, blue, green, yellow, and white, and many, many other colors as well. Within, soon, everybody is getting their grimoires. However, Yuno and Asta are the only ones who haven't got their grimoires just yet, with many people somewhat worried, while those from that of Hage Village Orphanage are worried, especially Sister Lily, with a few of the, however, nobles that showed up, couldn't help but basically smirk at them. However, one grimoire begins to shine a bright golden light within, heading straight for Asta. However, Asta having that of an excited look on his face. However, it soon went from that of Asta straight to that of Yuno, as it floats into his hand and then reveals itself to be a 4-leaf clover grimoire. With that, everybody was completely and utterly shocked and caught off guard by this, especially the nobles, as Asta could help but think, Yuno got a 4-leaf clover grimoire. Within him remembering what it means to have that of a 4-leaf clover grimoire, while regular 3-leaf clover grimoires have that of the meaning behind them being hope, faith, and love, but a 4-leaf clover grimoire has that of luck, which means not only that, it also amplifies and surpasses that of any magical power, enhancing the wielder even farther than before. Not only that, another thing within the Clover Kingdom, those with that of 4-leaf clover grimoires have the potential and destined to be within, saying, I will be the next Wizard King. This I swear. With Asta looking around, realizing that no other book is flying towards him. Before him couldn't help but sigh, saying, I guess I won't be getting this one this year at least. Well, I can come back anytime at all. Within, everybody couldn't help but look at that of Asta as he begins to walk away. Within, noticing this, saying, Asta, saying, congrats on the 4-leaf clover grimoire, Yuno. Better make sure to keep better care of it. But this is just a setback for me. I don't plan on dropping my dream of being Wizard King. You got that? Within hearing that, couldn't help but give off that of a tiny smirk, as it's basically a blink and you miss it kind of moment, saying, wouldn't dream of it. You better not fall behind, Asta. With that, Asta walks off, with many people already talking shit about him already, saying that what did they expect from that of a magicless person? It's someone who even has that of the ability to sense that of a little bit of magic, couldn't sense anything from him at all. However, some people weren't even bothering with that of Asta at all, while some were basically looking at that of Yuno, and one in the very back of the top of the tower couldn't help but smirk, while Yuno basically leaves out of the tower, preparing to train with that of his new grimoire. However, that's when a few nobles basically wanted to ambush Yuno and basically tell him to hand over the grimoire since a commoner like him doesn't deserve it. As one using that of fire magic basically sends a torrent of flame using his newest grimoire. However, not even bothering using his 4-leaf clover grimoire, just sends that of a burst of air, a wind magic, which soon basically splits the fire in half. As the two nobles were basically caught off guard, within, taking advantage of that of their weaknesses and shock, he sends that of another burst of wind magic to blast them backwards, knocking them back off their feet and onto the ground. Within, couldn't help but huff, saying, just because you're nobility doesn't mean that you're stronger than me. I'm not going to lose to some fodder like all of you. However, then he hears somebody snickering, saying, so, that's the kind of magic that you have. And you didn't even use your grimoire. What a pain in the ass. Wasted a grimoire like that, wasted on a talentful brat like you. I swear, the world is just not fair, isn't it? Within looking at the man, as he basically has that of dirty black hair, wearing that of a shabby robe, as his face basically shows that he has no good intentions whatsoever with that smile on his face. But then he couldn't help but be on guard, as he remembers what Asta has always told him. No matter what, always be prepared for anything to happen, no matter what. Either be big or small. Don't be lax or weak or whatsoever. Remembering that, soon the man saying, I expected you to basically be off your guard and be so arrogant, given what you did to those nobles. But surprisingly, you're actually taking this a lot more seriously. Taking me seriously. To be honest, I'm quite honored. With Yuno still staying quiet, waiting for what's to come, saying, what? It's got nothing to say? Seriously, to even think that orphans like you think that you're hot shit just because you got a lot amount of mana and magic and are getting a 4-leaf clover grimoire. Well, I got news for you, kid. Don't get such a big head. As he says this, that's when a grimoire soon floats in front of him as it becomes purple, within soon saying, chain magic. Chain binding snakes! As chains begin to erupt from that of the grimoire, as they soon slither like that of snakes. As they head straight for that of Yuno, within soon, Yuno sends that of a blast of wind magic once again, as he prepares to activate that of the grimoire. However, the man known as Revchi couldn't help but basically smirk, saying, chain magic, binding snares. As chains begin to erupt from his hands down to the ground. Before then, they soon pop out behind that of Yuno, grabbing him by that of his arms and then wrap around his body. As Yuno saying, damn it, I let my guard down. If Asta was here, he would basically scold me for this. But then, the man couldn't help but cackle, saying, see, just because you're hot shit doesn't mean you're not as skilled as me. I'll let you know that I used to be a former magic knight for the Purple Orcas before I got kicked out. Say I was too violent and too manipulative, or that I hurt that of innocent people. Oh, it doesn't matter. All that matters is power and strength. Hell, the nobles get away with a lot more worse than what I do. But even so, it doesn't matter. With this, I'll be able to get back onto top after all. As he grabs that of Yuno's 4-leaf clover grimoire, saying, give it back! That's mine! Within, saying, ahaha, was yours. It's not like it's gonna matter. Sure, grimoires basically react to that of the wielders, but you can basically force your mana into it, and then it reacts to you and you alone. As much as I would like to keep this little number, I can basically sell this on the black market. A noble would basically pay pretty pennies for something like this. As Yuno couldn't help but feel frustrated and annoyed. Before then, without warning, somebody walked up behind that Revchi. Within, soon saying, sorry, could you let go of that? Within saying, huh? Who that? Before then, being punched in the face by that of an unexpected Asta, sending that at the guy flying a little bit. Within, soon him getting up, saying, what the hell? Within, seeing Asta on top of him, saying, Asta, I was a little worried for you alongside Sister Lily and everybody else that you didn't come back. I figured that you would be training, but even if for you training or getting used to your little grimoire, you've already would have told us this or informed us ahead of time. So I figured somebody must be causing troubles for you, and lo and behold, I was right. With Yuno still completely off guard by this, as for Revchi saying, you damn brat, do you have any idea on who you're messing with? With then saying, no, and honestly, I don't care. You hurt my brother. You don't deserve any sympathy or acknowledgement from me. Within hearing that, Revchi saying, you know what? I don't even plan on showing you any respect either. Like I need to a magicless freak like you. Within him using his chain snake spell onto that of Asta. Within Asta dodging each one of the snake chains and was about to rush towards him. Before then hearing a voice saying, hear, feel, think, saying, what? That voice from my dreams? With then getting distracted, as then a chain basically wraps around that of Asta before more of them also before being flung backwards into that of the wall of the tower. With then Revchi saying, ha! Do you really have any right to basically talk shit like that, you little brat? Doesn't matter how strong you are, how fast you are either. It doesn't matter. Magic is everything in this world. Magic is power and magic is literally life. A little shit like you should know your... Within Yuno saying, Asta, don't let his words basically affect you. You're stronger than this. You're better than this. Even without magic. You've always had a strong heart. A strong determination no matter what. That's why you're the only person who I see as my rival. So stand up and fight. Within, after saying all that, within Revchi, however, little did both Revchi or Yuno know, he couldn't hear any of them, as all their voices had been toned out to that of one voice, the same elegant voice that he heard from his dreams, saying, "It's time to awaken, O warrior of light." Well, soon hearing that, something begins to materialize from that of Asta's chest, as it looks like that of a yellow crystal. Within, noticing it, however, even both Yuno and Revchi notice it too. Within, Asta, grabbing the crystal, I can hear it. I can hear you, feel, and think clearly now. As soon as he grabs the crystal, that's when he crushes it. Before then, a wave of magic begins to erupt around Asta, to the point that everything glows into a bright white light, which catches Revchi off guard, having to cover his eyes, even that of Yuno closing his eyes. But then soon, as the light begins to dim down, that's also the same time when something up top of the tower begins to react, slamming itself over and over again against the wall, as it's something small but something powerful. At the same time, back down to the ground, Asta stands on his own 2 feet. The chains no longer wrapped around him any longer, as his attire is completely different from his normal clothes, as he has that of white armor, with that of a few spikes jetting out of his shoulders, a long blue golden cape, with in his hands wielding that of a shiny and gleaming broadsword in his right hand, and a mass in that of a somewhat medium-sized shield in his left. Within, both magic users were completely caught off guard. However, as for that of Yuno, who could sense that of Asta's magic, he could feel it saying, "It's a huge amount of magic. It's powerful. No, it's beyond anything I've ever sensed before." Looking at that of Asta and that of his new attire, not to mention, he's a lot more taller and a lot more stoic and serious than before. Within, pointing his sword at that of Revchi, saying, "You'll pay for your crimes against my brother and I. For someone who was once a former magic knight, as you said you were, you disgraced the name of the magic knights by even being one to begin with." Within, Revchi saying, "What gives you the right? What the hell even are you, kid? At first I didn't sense a single drop of magic on you. Now you basically are radiating the shit. Just what the hell are you?" As he sends that of tons of chains towards him that basically go in every direction. As for Asta, he doesn't even flinch or even move. Within, him bringing up his shield as he blocks each and every one of the chains, before then knocking them all back and rather destroying them with one solitary slash from his sword. Within, Revchi can help but be completely and utterly shocked by this. At that of blinding speeds, even though given that of the armor isn't that heavy or isn't that light either, but still able to move quite fast, as with that using that of his shield, he soon bashes Revchi's head into the ground with one solitary blow, creating a massive crater that even sends that of a still binded Yuno flying off and rolling on the ground. But then, Asta, not even phased, as he doesn't even care, seeing that of a bruised, battered, and bloodied Revchi with that of a swollen face. As, however, surprisingly, the man is still alive. With then Asta taking that of a deep breath before soon his armor and sword and shield disappears, with his appearance going back to the same, and going back to the same, 5'2" height than he was before. As for Yuno, the chain soon disappear within him, a little worried, saying, "Asta!" as he rushes towards his foster brother. However, at the same time, that's when something crashes from the top of the tower and rushes towards Asta. Within, catching Yuno completely off guard is that of a grimoire. However, it's completely black and also looks quite dirty as well, almost like it hasn't been used in forever. However, you could see that of the red aura surrounding it. Before then, the aura disappears and then lands on that of Asta's chest, with him realizing, wait, did that grimoire choose Asta? But why? What even is that thing? As there are more questions than answers. But even so, this would be the start. The start on how the Warrior of Light made his triumphant return to a world that needs balance. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think in the comments below. Love to read them. So, what'd you guys think? Did you guys think I did a pretty good job with this for a setup? To be honest, there's still so much I want to tell, but I wanted just to make this a quick, introductory to that of Asta becoming the new Warrior of Light. Not to mention, his personality has changed, because as much as I now tolerate and love Asta, him constantly screaming is not going to be on my to-do list for this what if. I will not lie, I've been starting to lose my voice when doing that of Asta when recording lately for other what ifs. So yeah, at any rate, if you guys are wondering about that of what Asta's job's going to be, I'll let you guys know this now. Since Asta's not really that smart is not that smart when it comes to creativity and is always a frontline attacker no matter what, I thought that him having that of 4 DPS classes, 3 tank classes, and 2 support classes would fit his character quite well, because of course he's always an attacker and honestly he can tank hits like a freaking brick house. But being a supporter, yeah, no. Even if this Asta's a lot more, rash and normal, he's still not that smart, to be fair, outside of combat. So yeah, at any rate, if you guys like this, please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification, keep up to date my videos uploaded to the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, my gaming channel, my side channel, my other channel, my Patreon, my Cash App, and my PayPal. All link in the description below. So, with all that said, this is Leon signing out. Later, guys. Hope you all take care. Take it away, Shiro.
Hi, everyone. This is White Fox. If you liked Leon's video, click the video on the left to see the most recent one. And if you want to see more of this, click the subscribe button and notification bell and check out his playlists. If you still haven't subscribed, do so in the center. With that said, I hope to see you again on my love's channel. Bye!